Brahmachari Jamuna Tira Brahmachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada. Jai Om Vishpad Paramahamsa Parivrajakacharya Ashtotara Sata Sri Srimati Zvangzes et si Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishpad Paramahamsa Parivrajakacharya Ashtotara Sata Sri Srimati Zvangzes Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnavana Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem Sikho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sivasadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda Ki Jai. Sri Sri Radha Krishna Gopinath Shyama Kunda Radha Kund Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Mayapur Navadvip Dham Ki Jai. Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai. Ganga Mai Ki Jai, Jamuna Mai Ki Jai, Srimati Tulasi Devi Ki Jai, Bhakti Devi Ki Jai, Sri Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai, Sri Sri Radha Madan Mohan Ki Jai, Sri Sri Gaunitai Ki Jai, Sri Sri Jagannath Subhadra Baladev Ki Jai, Gaura Premanandi. All glories to the Assembly devotees, all glories to the Assembly devotees, all glories to the Assembly devotees. All glories to Sri Guru, Sri Gauranga, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prastabhutade, Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namane, Namaste Saraswati Deve, Gauravani Prachaline, Nirvesesha Sunyavadi Pastyata Vedatarine. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayamudirayet nashtaprayeshu abhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttamasloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nanda Gopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha. Today we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 4th Skanda, 16th chapter, sloka number 8. Deve avarshati asau devaha naradeva vapuhu harihi kritsrapanaha prajaha hi eshaha rakshishyati anjasa indravat deve varshatyaso devo naradeva vapurhari krishna prana prajahyesha rakshishyatyanjasendravat deve varshatyasau devo naradeva vapurhari krishna prana prajahyesha rakshishyatyanjasendravat deve varshatyasau devo naradeva vapurhari krishna prana prajahyesha rakshishyatyanjasendravat Vaishnavis. Deve, when the demigod Indra, Avarshati, does not supply rains, so that Devaha, Maharaj Prithu, Naradeva, of the king, Vapuhu, having the body, Harihi, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna Pranaha, suffering living entities, Prajaha, the citizens, he, certainly, Eshaha, this, Rakshishyati, will protect, Anjasa, very easily, Indravat, like King Indra. Translation. When there is no rainfall and the citizens are in great danger due to the scarcity of water, this royal personality of Godhead will be able to supply rains exactly like the heavenly King Indra. Sri Sri Gaur Nitai ki jai. Sri Sri Radha Madan Mohan ki jai. Sri Sri Jagannath Subhadra Baladev ki jai. Thus, he will very easily be able to protect the citizens from drought. Purport by Divine Grace, you can repeat the translation. When there is no rainfall and the citizens are in great danger due to the scarcity of water, this royal personality of Godhead will be able to supply rains exactly like the heavenly King Indra. Thus he will very easily be able to protect the citizens from drought. Purport by Divine Grace, S.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. King Prithu is very appropriately compared to the sun, and the demigod Indra. King Indra of the heavenly planets is in charge of distributing water over the earth and other planetary systems. It is indicated that King Prithu would arrange for the distribution of rainfall personally if Indra failed to discharge his duty properly. Sometimes the king of heaven, Indra, would become angry at the inhabitants of the earth if they did not offer sacrifices to appease him. King Prithu, however, being an incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, did not depend on the mercy of the heavenly king. It is foretold herein that if there would be a scarcity of rain, King Prithu would manage to counteract the deficiency by virtue of his godly powers. Such powers were also exhibited by Lord Krishna when he was present in Vrindavan. Indeed, when Indra poured incessant water on Vrindavan for 7 days, the inhabitants were protected by Krishna, who raised Govardhan Hill over their heads as a great umbrella. Thus, Lord Krishna is also known as Govardhan Dhari. Om Jnanatimidandhasya Jnanam Janasarakaya Chakshuranmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namah Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kala Mahyam Dadati Swaparantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yutapada Kamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavanscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Visakam Vitansya He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpatarubhasya Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Paditanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. This chapter is covering the praise of King Prithu by the professional reciters, the Suttas and Magadas, just after the appearance of King Prithu. Although King Prithu had not exhibited his powers since he just appeared, but everybody knew that he was incarnation of Lord Krishna as the maintainer and king for the whole world. Adi Raja, King Prithu, the ideal king, who set the example at the beginning for the perfect king. All the kings have to follow the example set by Prithu Maharaj. He was very kind to his citizens. He was not falsely claiming to be God, although he is a really incarnation of God. But he was not exercising his godly powers for himself, only for the sake of the welfare of the citizens. He used to utilize his extraordinary powers. So one example of King Prithu's power and mercy upon the citizens is that whenever there was no rainfall, then King Prithu would take charge of rainfall and he would supply sufficient rain for everybody. Indra is certainly in charge as a deputed manager of the rain department, but sometimes Indra fails to do his duty. So in that case, at that time, Prithu Maharaj would supply rain, which is supposed to be done by Indra. In this way, he would not allow the citizens to have difficulty in their lives. So everything was supplied. The heat, as is already compared to the sun god, supplying heat everywhere. Similarly, supplying rain everywhere necessary. So that is the potency of King Prithu, who is so powerful that certainly he does not depend upon the demigods to supply the necessities of life. So certainly rain or water is an indispensable necessity for all the inhabitants of the universe, and especially for the Earth planet. Rain is certainly necessary. We remember in the Srila Prabhupada's presence that Srila Prabhupada emphasized the point. Actually, at that time, we were not so much conscious of the importance of rain. Everybody knows the importance of rain, but how the rain factor is also described in the Vedic scriptures. And how especially yajna, which is to be performed by the kings, is the factor, is the cause of the rainfall. It is very difficult to understand for a person who is not acquainted with the Vedic principles. When Srila Prabhupada was giving lecture here in November 72, at that time there was no rainfall in the monsoon season on that particular year, 72. There had not been any rainfall and everybody was suffering because of scarcity of water. And at that time we had a Nagar Kirtan and a Kirtan on the stage of the program. And then immediately the rain started to fall very abundantly. So Prabhupada could understand that because of the Sankirtan Yajna, the rain has come. Rain has come not on its own, but the Lord Krishna is pleased with the Sankirtan Yajna. And the demigods are also pleased, including Indra. So Indra, in this way, supply rain on account of the Sankirtan Yajna. Another lesson we heard from Srila Prabhupada is when there was a press conference here in April 73 in the temporary temple here on the roadside, Nampally station roadside. At that time, one of the reporters asked from Srila Prabhupada that what is the philosophy of the Iskcon society? Is your philosophy Dvaita Vedanta or Visishtad Vedanta, Visishtad Dvaita Vedanta, or Dvaita Avad? In this way, the reporter was showing his little bit of his knowledge of Vedanta and asking Prabhupada, what is your position? Where do you stand? What is your philosophy? That's a very important question, and everybody was very eager to hear Srila Prabhupada answer to that question. So Srila Prabhupada said, Annad bhavanti bhutani parjanyadana sambhavaha, and so on. Prabhupada, we were very surprised to hear this answer. We were not expecting that type of answer. Nobody. either the disciples or the other public and reporters, they were not expecting that type of answer. We could not understand actually how does it fit with the question. And Prabhupada explained that before talking philosophy, that is a high subject matter, first of all, the necessities of life should be supplied. And therefore, before everything, we should understand the importance of yajna. So, in this way, it was also a philosophical answer, because in our Iskcon society, there is a great emphasis given on the Sankirtan Yajna. So to show the importance of the Sankirtan Yajna, Srila Prabhupada answered in that manner, that the Sankirtan Yajna is not just a musical performance, it is a Yajna. And in the Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna says, because of the Yajna, the rain is coming. First of all, the grains are necessary. Everybody needs to eat grain, annat. Annat bhavanti bhutani, parjanyadana sambhava, yadyad bhavati parjanya. So, the rain will make possible growing of the grains which are necessary for maintenance. And what is the cause of rain? Cause of rain is yajna. So that was very important instruction by Srila Prabhupada, some fundamental ABC knowledge. Not going to the higher speculation, but from the basis of our life. We need a grain, and the rain is necessary, and the rain is produced out of yajna. That is very important instruction. Otherwise, everybody would think that rain is just a matter of nature. If nature allows, if the natural circumstances and situation is favorable, then there will be some rain. And if the climate is somewhat different, then there may not be any rain. So that is a general understanding. But we have to learn from Bhagavad Gita what Lord Krishna teaches us. Our Bhagavad Gita is our book of knowledge, and we have to go through it very carefully and with great faith and acceptance. Not that rain is coming out of nowhere. Of course, everybody knows rain is from the cloud. But how the cloud is coming? Cloud is coming out of when the heat evaporates the water from the ocean. Then the clouds are being formed in the sky. And according to temperature and atmospheric pressure, then there may be rain. That is only a physical law. But physical law is maintained by the lawmaker. Ultimately, the lawmaker is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. We cannot think of a law without lawmaker. And this is what Lord Krishna has done at the very beginning of creation. Lord Krishna or Lord Vishnu wanted that the performance of yajna should be done so that the necessities of life should be made available to the living entities. So God is very kind. He is not just creating the universe and let it go on its own. That is not the idea of creation. There is another idea. Creation means also that the Lord will see that everybody will be engaged in activities favorable for liberation, ultimately. Not only the universe is given to us for our living, maintenance, but it is given to us as an opportunity to become liberated. Therefore, the means of liberation are given to us also from the very beginning by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So here in the Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna says that Saha yagya praja srichtva purovatsha prajapatihi anena prasavichyaddvam esha voštishta kamadhuk. In the beginning of creation, the Lord of all creatures sent forth generations of men and demigods along with sacrifices for Vishnu, and blessed them by saying, "Be thou happy by this yajna, because its performance will bestow upon you everything desirable for living happily and achieving liberation." So that is the purpose of creation. Not just that God is creating nature and laws of nature and then disappears from the scene without any more connection. Lord Krishna, Lord Vishnu, has a permanent connection with the entire universe and its inhabitants by way of yajna. This is the connection that we have to establish in the material world. Everyone who comes to this material world has forgotten its relationship with Lord Krishna. That is why we are here. But while living in this world, we have the opportunity to re-establish our relationship with the Lord, and that is by way of yajna. Yajna by Vishnu. All the yajnas are meant for the satisfaction of the Lord. So even though the Vedas prescribe various types of yajnas to satisfy various demigods, as Surya, Chandra, Varuna, Indra, and so on, but all the yajnas, they ultimately are meant for the satisfaction of Lord Krishna. Yadhyarthat karmanon yatra loko yam karma bandhanaha. If we do not perform yajna, then our material activities will be simply a stumbling block in our way to perfection. In another sloka, anyway, the importance of yoga is stressed on many slokas in the Bhagavad Gita. And this is what Srila Prabhupada wanted us to understand. Last time I was mentioning how at the farm there was a plan to irrigate the land and dig wells for the supply of water throughout the land for the purpose of farming. And when Prabhupada came to know about this, he said, "Did you forget? How could you forget what I have given you, the message of Bhagavad Gita? You have forgotten what Krishna is telling in the Bhagavad Gita? Yadyat bhavanti parjanyo, that by way of yajna, the rain is coming, not by irrigation or drawing well. That is not what you have been told," speaking to the manager of the farm at that time. So this is very important. And King Prithu was very kind to all the citizens, and sometimes the King Indra would fail. Sometimes yajnas may not be performed properly, and Indra becomes somewhat upset, and Indra is not supplying rain. "They have not offered yajna to me. Why should I supply rain to them?" Srila Prabhupada mentions in the purport about the dispute between Indra and Lord Krishna. It was another Leela of Lord Krishna in order to understand the position of Lord Krishna. The inhabitants of Vrindavan were going to perform yajna for Indra. And Lord Krishna is asking his father, what are all these preparations? What are you going to do now? Why all these brahmanas and pujaris have come? For what purpose? So Nanda Maharaj is somewhat surprised. He's a young boy. What does he know about yajna? So anyway, Nanda Maharaj told him that, yes, regularly every year, we have to offer sacrifice for Indra so that we'll get sufficient rain. And Lord Krishna, as a small child, he argued with this yajna to be performed by the inhabitants of Vrindavan. He said, no, this is not necessary. You are working very well afterwards. You are working very hard. Certainly the rain will come. Why you are doubting? Why you are trying to spend money and doing this type of performance? Not necessary. Just go on with your regular activities and you can just expect the rain will come sufficiently. No worry about that. So anyway, because all these ingredients already had come for the yajna to be performed. So Lord Krishna told them, if you want to do any yajna, yes, we'll have a yajna, but not for Indra. We'll have yajna for Govardhan. After all, this Govardhan Adri is supplying all our necessities. All our fruits, all our flowers, and drinking water, and so many plants, medicines. Everything is available. We are coming here with the cows. They are so happy to spend time here at Govardhan. This is a very beautiful place in our Vrindavan. So yajna should be performed for the satisfaction of Govardhan Giri. That will be very good. So Nanda Maharaj listened to his son. He said, all right, we'll have a yajna for Govardhan. And in this way, whatever they had brought, all the ingredients for puja, everything was used for Govardhan. So that was Lord Krishna teaching that after all, who is Indra? Indra is my servant. And if I want that there should be sufficient rainfall and everybody should be happy at the foot of Govardhan, then that should be done. If I want the yajna to be performed for Govardhan, that should be done. Actually, there is no difference between Krishna and Govardhan. So this will be the perfect yajna. Indra did not accept this argument and became very angry at the inhabitants of Vrindavan, and he ordered his clouds, which are used at the time of universal devastation, to pour incessant rain upon Vrindavan. So for 7 days, the rain fell down in Vrindavan, very profuse rain. Everything became inundated, but all the inhabitants had come there at the foot of Govardhan, and Lord Krishna displayed his godly power by lifting Govardhan for 7 days as an umbrella. In this way, there was no difficulty for the inhabitants of Vrindavan. They could live very peacefully under the umbrella of Govardhan, and there was no problem at all. Moreover, the Gopas and Gopis, they were especially happy to have the opportunity to have the Lord Krishna's association very closely, day and night. So that was a very special benefit of Govardhan Leela. So Lord Krishna became famous in this way of Govardhan Dhari. And the position of Indra was clearly understood. He is not the supreme, but he is only a servant of Lord Krishna. So Indra finally realized his mistake, and he begged forgiveness from Lord Krishna and offered prayers to Lord Krishna, telling how he has become bewildered by the illusory energy, thinking himself as all-powerful, whereas Lord Krishna is the Supreme Lord. He is the master of all the demigods. So in this way, the Leela of Govardhan was performed for everyone's benefit, including Indra. So King Prithu is also similarly supplying rain, even if Indra does not do it, but King Prithu does not depend upon Indra. Indra is after all a demigod, but Prithu is more powerful. Being incarnation of Lord Krishna, he has the ability to supply everything, even when the demigods fail to do so. So that is the kindness and power of Lord Prithu. Here, Prithu Maharaj, he was also addressed as Naradeva. Naradeva means God as king, or half God, half human being. So that is generally the name given to the king. The king is human being, he is Nara. Oh. What happened here? The king is Nara, but he is also the best among them. Therefore his name is Naradeva. And Lord Krishna is the original Naradeva. He is the original king. So all the kings are accepted as Naradeva in this way. From time immemorial, those who are ruling particular kingdoms, they are accepted as Naradeva. They are not God, but they have some special power that in this way they can rule the kingdom. Otherwise, in which way an ordinary man can rule a kingdom, ruling so many thousands of people? He is a human being, and others are also human beings. Why should he rule over others? What right has the king to rule over others? Therefore, throughout the world, the monarchy is always a monarchy of divine right. It is not that the king should not be considered as ordinary human being. He should be considered as special human chosen by God to rule the citizens. In this way, the citizens have a special respect for the king as Naradeva. That is a tradition not only in the Vedic society, but also even in the Western society. All the monarchies have been established in the name of God. Even to this day, for example, you go in England, when the king is established, is crowned at the top of coronation, the coronation is done on behalf of God. The church is organizing the program on behalf of God. The king is made Naradeva. In this way, he is accepted by all the citizens. So, King Prithu is the original Naradeva, and throughout history, all the kings have been respected in that manner. So Prabhupada writes in the purport of Srimad Bhagavatam, even Sanatana Goswami also, the Nawab Hussain Shah, even though not belonging to the Hindu society or Varnashram society, he was the ruler of that kingdom where Sanatana Goswami was having his residence, and Sanatana Goswami was giving all respect to Nawab Hussain Shah as a Naradeva. So that is the understanding here. Any other questions or comments? Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.